So he says that him and Kevin Feige have had long conversations about Xavier and the MCU. After that, he proceeds to tell the story about him leaving and Hugh Jackman leaving. And there's a classic story that kind of ties in this as far as they watched it together and they just felt this was the last time we could do this. This is the end of our characters. Even though when Legion was around, he was still saying like I would possibly do that. And I feel like Patrick Stewart, as a few times, kind of been a never say never type of guy. So this meeting it's it's very interesting because I would have thought that they would completely reboot everything. And if you're asking me, gun ahead, when Xavier, Wolverine, Cyclops, all that, when they come in, will you have rebooted the universe? Will you have a new cast? And I would go, yeah, I think so. I would bet on it too. The thing that changed everything for me, and I think it was a big game changer, and we've talked about this, Hugh Jackman, and other people we've talked about with John Barenthal and Charlie Cox. Oh, excuse me. Is would they ever come back? Is a universe breaking thing? La la la. Spider-Man: Far From Home. If you haven't seen it, tune out for this topic pretty much. But if you haven't seen it, I don't know why you're listening to this podcast. Spider-Man: Far From Home. The end credits come. Something I called #Travis told you. Not in the end credits. I just saw you be in the movie. J. Jonah Jameson, played by J.K. Simmons, is in the movie. So before that, if you would ask me 100%, like any of those people coming back, whether it's none of those Fantastic Four people, but anyone in those X universe, other than Ryan Reynolds, because Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool, it's a tongue-in-cheek character. That is just a too hot commodity. I think everyone knows if you were to make a Deadpool without Ryan Reynolds, you're losing millions right away. He's young enough. He still wants to do it. He's only done 2 movies and a few appearances here and there. So that was a no-brainer. What they're going to do with that franchise, who knows, and we'll talk about that another day. So that one kind of made sense. And again, Deadpool can kind of break the fourth wall, write it off, whatever. And Hugh Jackman's one we talked about, and I, after JK, was kind of like, you never say never. And now it's interesting that this is coming out because it's not even them asking, oh, what would you think about it, right? And then he goes on and talks about, maybe this, but I'm kind of not the role. He leads with, I've had long conversations with Kevin Feige. So, when did that happen? Kevin Feige, huge Star Trek fan. Did they just have him over? Was that at a dinner? Maybe. And that's the thing that all this is context, and we don't know for sure. It could have just been, he said long conversation. He did say he met with Feige. But I don't know what that means. I don't know if sometimes people are just talking casually in an interview, and to us, it's like a world-changing, oh my God, they met. Maybe it's just they were at dinner, and he just met with him like, oh, this is Kevin Feige, Patrick, and then they start talking, and that's about it. So we don't know how in-depth it got. But to take it back to Spider-Man Far From Home, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Before we talk about the what-ifs, I will go with I don't really want it, because I just... Not that I don't want it. That I shouldn't say that, but I think we could move past it. I think it's time to freshen that role up. And I also think from a business standpoint, unless you're going to write that character off, I hate to say it, he is an older guy. And one, that is, something could happen in the next few years or next decade. Feige's a person that likes to plan. They go after younger talent. And 2, is that the story they want to tell? Is that an older, late 70s, 80s Xavier? Do they want to do that? Xavier's been younger before, so that's another thing. And the third thing is, and that's where the J.K. Simmons part does come in, but let's be honest, J. Jonah Jameson, big character, interacting with Tobey Maguire and other characters from that universe, but he's not massive, right? And it's in such a single role where Jonah, if he's in Spider-Man 3, he's not going to affect much, right? He's going to be there for comedic relief. It looks like they're doing a twist on him, so we won't get that old dynamic. So you can make the case that he's playing Jonah, but a whole different version. Obviously, they could do that with Xavier, but Xavier and Patrick Stewart's Xavier is such a vital character in those first 3. They made a spin-off prequel movie about him, and then they brought him back for Days of Future Past and Logan. And he interacted with a lot of those people, so would it be weird seeing him talk to a Scott, a Jean, a Beast, a Logan, when it's not that cast? I do think it is a little bit. I don't think it's a way where I don't think the audience could follow along, but I do think it's a little jarring if you got the entire new cast, even Wolverine, and it's the old it's the old Xavier. And even the reverse, if you had Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and then you had Xavier, it's like, well, we've kind of been here and done that. And I think the Jackman thing is off the table. People have talked about that before, and I've always said, you never know. And I've always wanted Jackman to come back, less so now because I always wanted to see what his interactions with a Captain America, but with Chris Evans and an Iron Man with Robert Downey Jr. I'd want to see those dream over crossovers, right? It's the same way when Spider-Man was announced. I was like, I can't wait to see Andrew Garfield there, and then they recast him, and it was still fun, but there was a little bit of that. You get excited in a different way, right? So I think same thing with Logan and Wolverine, that's going to go a different route. So those characters gone, I'm less excited. Plus things like Hulk versus Wolverine, I'm a little less excited because the dynamic on Hulk. So I feel like that ship has sailed for Hugh Jackman, and I feel the ship has sailed for Xavier, Patrick Stewart. And if I think it's likely, no. Why are they having long conversations? You never know, and that's where this is the thing that, and who knows in Spider-Man 3, who knows in the future, we've talked to this many times too, about the potential of a Tobey and Tom Holland crossover. We just saw this, obviously, Spider-Verse a few years ago, but then we just saw this a few weeks ago at the time of this recording with the CW Crisis on Infinite Earth and with Flash, Barry Allen, Ezra Miller, Grant Gustin. And internet lost their mind. Everyone loved it. I think the cameo was really good. It didn't have much substance, but it was really good. I think Feige would make something like a Tobey and Tom have some substance and meaning to the story, but it's been kicked around, right? And they're opening, and this is where the only idea that I could see where Patrick Stewart Xavier could somehow fit in the MCU and not feel like he's betraying that role or kind of coming over and just redoing the exact same thing is parallel universes. Who knows? Maybe Doctor Strange 2 is whatever it talks about. It's like a reverse House of M, and she brings in all these mutants. I kind of hope not, because I feel like that's a lazy way to do it, but it could happen. And maybe Xavier, Patrick Stewart, is the one that gets that. But that's the only thing I could think is it's a cameo, or it's going into a different dimension, or even a what if. They could easily get Hugh Jackman back for a role of, let's say, they even break the fourth wall themselves, and what if Disney already owned Fox, or Disney owned the X-Men, or sorry, Marvel Studios owned the X-Men. What would the first Avengers movie look like with those characters? You get Downey back voicing Wolverine, you get Patrick Stewart voicing Xavier. I think there's realms where we could see Patrick Stewart's Xavier again, but not in the main movies. I think because of his age. I think 2, puts you in a box with the casting, and 3, that it's baggage. It really is. It's a lineage that do you really want to take on? Because like I said, with JK, I think in playing Jonah, you can kind of ignore it. With Patrick Stewart, that brings on everything. I guess that's kind of tied into 2, but I think they want to start fresh. So it was interesting to hear her talk about that. I will be interested to see if they talk about anything more in the future, but it's same thing. Patrick Stewart said he was done, but if, let's say it wasn't a dinner party, let's say it was a literally Kevin Feige called Patrick Stewart agent, says, I want to meet him, he wouldn't go in. If you're done with the role, why did you go and meet with him? Has Hugh Jackman gotten that call too? Has he met with him? So I'm not going to say never. I'm not going to say it could never happen, because the JK thing happened. The Ezra thing happened a few weeks ago. So maybe there's in a year, maybe tomorrow when this comes out, or whenever you're listening to it, they announce Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, come back to the MCU. But if I had my money, I'd say no. And if there was a yes, I still think it would be in a different fashion. Cameo, multiverse, animated show, something like that. Not even, what if they are making some like Disney Channel, Disney Plus X-Men animated show? Like, hey, do you want to voice Xavier? And fans would love that, right? What if they did? It wouldn't be like this, but the same way the comics a few years ago did a sequel series to the X-Men 90s animated show. What if they did an X-Men show about those X-Men, like the adventures in the Bryan Singer universe, which is not a great way. They're not going to title it, but for obvious reasons. So I think that's where he could play in. But do I think he's back as Stewart, or he's back as Xavier? No. I think that time's passed.